Radical liberalization of hard drugs. He teamed up with the BC NDP to decriminalize fentanyl, crack, and heroin. He lowered jail sentences for mass producers of deadly fentanyl. And 80% of the fentanyl made in Canada is done so using ingredients that are not even regulated, but come right into our country where they're cooked into that poison, now threatening our trade relationship with the U.S. Will he reverse his radical liberal drug agenda to save lives and jobs?
He's not there to do the work of delivering based on science, based on compassion, based on a public health approach on dealing with the toxic drug epidemic. He is instead continuing to try to score cheap political points on the backs of the most vulnerable. That's not serious. That's not responsible.
What is not responsible is allowing 80% of the chemicals used in fentanyl manufacturing to come in unregulated and legally. What is not responsible is decriminalizing crack, heroin, and fentanyl. And then after you see that it leads to a massive increase in deaths, then 2 weeks ago, he, the Bloc, and the NDP all voted in favor of a committee report to decriminalize fentanyl right across the country at a time when Canadians are dying and our border could be closed. Will the Prime Minister confirm that he has reversed himself and now opposes decriminalization?
Hear, hear. Pierre Poilievre. It's an amazing thing, actually. I didn't really pick up on this the first time I listened to this clip, which was provided to me by Jeffrey Sirois in response to the discussion that's going on right now on the interwebs over the imminent tariff war between Canada and the United States of America. Just going to play it one more time because it's right at the beginning where he acknowledges that there's a risk of it interfering with our border relations with America.
He teamed up with the BC NDP to decriminalize fentanyl, crack, and heroin. He lowered jail sentences for mass producers of deadly fentanyl. And 80% of the fentanyl made in Canada is done so using ingredients that are not even regulated, but come right into our country where they're cooked into that poison, now threatening our trade relationship with the U.S.
Now threatening our trade relation with the U.S. It's so freaking wild to watch this in real time. That's what Pierre Poilievre said in December. And I know this because I've kind of been following these things. Now threatening our trade relations with the U.S. And what does Pierre do today? What position does Pierre take now when he thinks that playing tough with America over tariffs and trade is the popular thing to do in Canada? What does he do today? Well, you know what he's going to do today because I've called Pierre Poilievre a fair weather politician forever. Not even necessarily as an insult. It might make him a better politician because he's fair weather and he will evolve as per public opinion. But back in December, this issue, the fentanyl crisis in Canada, set aside the terrorist stuff, we'll get to that in a second, now risks our border relations with America. Change your path, Justin Trudeau. Oh, what's that? Now it seems to be kind of cool to play strong to big bad Trump. And so what does Pierre Poilievre do now as relates to the tariff war? He puts out a tweet that says we must put Canada first. That is why common sense conservatives condemn President Trump's massive, unjust, and unjustified tariffs on Canada's already weak economy. Well, you know what's really good? If you already have a weak economy, Pierre, and you've already acknowledged that the drug issue and the terrorists crossing into America creates a national security threat for America, you know what's really good? You should probably fight a tariff war with America right now. You should call it massive and stupid and unjust when just last month you acknowledged specifically why it was a concern to America. So Pierre Poilievre, thinking that it's popular in Canada to get involved in basically a land war in Asia, to quote Princess Bride, to get involved in a war that you will not win, and that the only people who will suffer are going to be the citizens that you purport to represent. Now he decides that's the tact his ship is going to realign with. Oh, and by the way, just so you know, it wasn't just fentanyl. Like, there's a number of arguments going on here. There's a tariff war. Trump is now saying slapping a 25% tariffs on stuff coming in from the Canada because you guys don't want to secure your border. We've got fentanyl issues. We've got terrorists crossing into America from Canada at 8 times the rate of terrorists crossing into the United States from Mexico. Many of you might not know this, but if you watch the channel, you do. What was this one? I was in response to, I never thought I would say this in my lifetime. The United States of America is an enemy to Canada. That's right. I'm not trying to put anyone on blast. I genuinely want to wake people up. How Justin Trudeau's government was compromised by the CCP. Is, and I think the conservatives are as well, which might explain them playing into this idiotic game of chicken with a freaking Mack truck. If you're going to play chicken, you don't play a chicken with a Mazda Miata versus a Mack truck. That's what Canada is trying to do. They have some ways to strong arm America a little bit, hydroelectricity into the northern states that need excess electricity. But by and large, the Mazda is playing chicken with the Mack truck. Do you remember when Canada was training Chinese soldiers on Canadian soil? Oh, illegals crossing at northern U.S. border continues to skyrocket. Hundreds of terror suspects arrested. Like, somehow people don't seem to realize whether it was pretextual to renegotiate NAFTA, in which case, congrats, you dumbass, you took the bait, and now you're going to renegotiate NAFTA when all you had to do was agree to cut the fentanyl production in Canada and stop terrorists from crossing the border. Whether or not it was pretextual, congrats, you screwed up. But whether it was pretextual or not, many people don't understand that Canada literally has become a national security threat for America. You got a government that has been compromised by the Chinese Communist Party and by radical Indian elements, not to a small degree. You got a country that has decriminalized hard drugs, and you have a president that's coming in and saying, yeah, maybe we are getting taken advantage of under NAFTA. I don't care that I'm the one who negotiated. I don't like the deal anymore. You know what? I'm going to use the terrorists crossing your unsecured border and your fentanyl as a pretext. Fix it, or we impose tariffs. Oh, Canada's a proud country. We don't have to succumb to this crap. We're going to fight fire with fire. It's just that we're a match and you're a blowtorch. And so if it was pretextual, congratulations. You're going to have mandatory forced renegotiation of NAFTA, whether you like it or not. And the bottom line, Canada needs to fix the Canadian government needs to fix its stuff. To not swear until we're 8 minutes in. They need to fix their stuff. And if they don't want to do it on their own, well, they're going to have Big Brother twist their arm back and start hitting themselves. So it's wild to see what's going on right now. I don't think it's going to last long. I just think that the Trudeau government is a little more stubborn and a little more suicidal than the Colombian government. Remember, by the way, you remember when Colombia said, we're not taking back our own criminals? What do you think? We're stupid? We let them go for a reason. Oh, tariffs? Well, we're going to fight tariffs. And everyone's like, we're going to pay more for coffee. You got AOC like, I don't care if there's rapists on the street. I don't want to pay more for coffee, even though I'm already paying more for coffee by going to Starbucks where I pay $5 a cup. Colombia buckled overnight. I'm predicting it now. The Canadian government will buckle, although they have to make it look like they're not buckling. They're going to have to make it look like we strong-armed a negotiation with Trump and they're going to buckle, but they want to play hard and they think it's popular. And Justin Trudeau needs a crisis in order to distract from his failed government. He needs a crisis in order to distract from the failed state of Canada right now. And people are saying, well, you know, if Trudeau's on the ropes, why is Trump giving him this chance to use Trump as a pretext? This is exposure for the world. Maybe people don't necessarily realize that there are, I think it's 8 times the number of terrorists or people on terror watch lists intercepted at the Canadian border compared to the Mexican border. Whereas you have something like, I don't know, tenfold the illegal immigration crossing from the Mexican side to the American side. So understand what that means, that you've got domestic policy that is resulting in 8-fold terrorist watch list encounters coming from Canada to the US. Maybe it's because Justin Trudeau has been handing out foreign student visas to adversarial countries like cotton candy. And these students who come in on these visas and then, I don't know, 5% default, they never show up to classes. You create a national security threat. You refuse to fix it or even entertain the notion of fixing it. And then you get slapped with tariffs. And then what does Chrystia Freeland say? She's never met a Canadian she's not willing to throw under the bus for her globalist agenda. What does she have to say here? Is this it? Oh, here. Let's go here. This is what Chrystia Freeland has to offer.
I would publish a retaliation list. We have huge leverage over the United States because we are their single biggest export market by a long shot.
We have huge leverage over the United States. A retaliation list. Oh my goodness. I thought Trump was the one making an enemies list. Let's make a retaliation list.
We have huge leverage over the United States because we are their single biggest export market by a long shot.
We have huge leverage over the United States. It's not a sign of weakness to understand what it means to negotiate from a position of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. When you understand your position, you don't overplay your hand. Yeah, huge. We have huge. Hey, see where it goes. What are they going to tariff though? Tesla EVs. Nice music. U.S. alcohol. By the way, they're going to tariff U.S. alcohol. Do you know how much you're paying for alcohol that's Canadian made? I can tell you this because I know it from experience. The amount that they tax on Canadian liquors puts Canadian distilleries out of business. It makes the SAQ rich. That's the Société Alcool de Québec. It makes the government entity wildly profitable. And their employees. What else are they going to do? Free land. Yeah, free land. Free land, my ass. They love the environment so much that they're willing to forego the environment in order to penalize Trump. They're going to 100% tariff on Teslas. Where are they going to get their EVs from? Oh, yeah, China. Well, it doesn't really make it. Oh, but Trump is pushing Canada closer to China. They're dumbass. They've already been infiltrated by China. Trump is not pushing Canada any closer to the country that already infiltrated the government. He's just exposing it for the world.